friends. Today we are in my master bedroom. Well, we're in a rental, so my temporary master bedroom. Anyways, as part of our organization series, we are going to work on the master bedroom today. I've got this big tub of clothes here because it is springtime in Pennsylvania and it is time for me to switch out my wardrobe. If you live in an area that doesn't have different seasons, you probably don't have to do this. Lucky you, but for us, we have spring, summer, fall, and winter. Wow, why was it so hard for me to remember the seasons? We have 4 seasons, which means a bunch of different clothes, and I like to switch them out as opposed to having them all in my closet and my drawers at one time, because that can be a little bit confusing and kind of depressing when it's winter and you're looking at summer clothes. Like, no, thank you. So we have a few things going on to organize this room. We need to switch out the clothes for the season, and while I'm doing that, I am going to go through every piece of clothing and decide what I want to donate, what I want to keep, and what needs to go to the trash because maybe it's stained or ripped. The goal here is to really be focused on weeding out. So I'm gonna have to ask myself a lot of questions like, did I wear this during this season at all? Am I holding on to this for sentimental reasons? Like, why am I keeping this piece if it's not a definite like, oh my gosh, I will never let this go, I wear it all the time? What I'm trying to do here is minimalize our home in general because I want to have that weight off my shoulders. I don't want to have to spend time organizing all the time, every time, it feels like our house is getting cluttered again. So the goal is to minimize now and keep it that way. And the way I'm going to keep it that way is by watching how I'm shopping and making sure that I'm not just bringing more things back into our home that I'm later going to have to weed out and organize again. We're doing a major overhaul. Another layer of the process for us is that we're hopefully moving in the next 6 months. Like I said, we're in rental. We sold our house a little over a year ago. Kind of a crazy story, but either way, I'll share that another day. We probably have about 6 months here, so anything I can pack up right now and just get that packed if we're not using it, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be looking at like, what am I packing up that we're not using now? Is it something we really need? Because if I'm packing it up because we're not using it, why are we keeping it? And for us, there are a few reasons for that. We don't have enough space in the kitchen here. Long story short, today we are going to work in the master bedroom. I like to start in the closets. I'm going to pull everything out of the closets and I'm going to go through it piece by piece. We have 3 closets in this room. I'm only working on 2 of them. One of them is my husband's. I'm not going to touch his stuff. I'm going to leave that up to him. But I have a closet with my things, and then we have a shared closet that's more like suitcases and random stuff. So I'm going to start there. Then I'm going to move to my drawers and do the same thing in those. Pull out things that are donate, keep, or trash. And then I'm going to move into my nightstand, and I'm going to do that process too. I've already done 2 drawers in my nightstand, and so I have 1 more left to do, and then this room will be nice and clean. Let's get started. I'm going to start going through this big old tub. Okay, one thing that I just realized I forgot to mention to you, I'm going to also have a pile for try on. So for instance, this skirt, it looks okay, but I feel like it might be a little big. So I'm going to have a try on pile, and later I will go through the try on to see what actually fits me and what I need to get rid of because it's too big or too small. Okay, I got another tip for you. So I have these shirts that I've been holding on to forever. Like, this is from high school. I'm not going to tell you how old it is, but it's old. And it just means something to me because it's just a part. I wore this shirt all the time. It's a punk label. Punk music label. Either way, it's time for me to let it go. And I also have this shirt. This was a place I worked in college and I just loved it, but it's time to let it go. It would never fit me anyways, and I also wouldn't wear it. So what I did was I took pictures of both of these shirts, put a little blurb about them, like a funny thing about them, posted it on my Instagram stories, made a little highlight, so they're not gonna live there forever and not in my drawer. And now they can go away, and if I ever miss them, which I won't, but if I do, I can look on Instagram and there it is. My ugly old shirts. Sorry guys. See ya. mention that this process can be super overwhelming. Look at this. So I just took a little break to make myself some lunch, get myself some water. I highly recommend you do that as well. Make sure you're taking care of yourself when you're going through this process because, like I said before, some of it can be emotional. So we want to make sure that we're taking breaks, and it's just draining in general, energy-wise and that sort of thing. So while you're going through this process, make sure you're eating, drinking water, taking breaks, and all that. So I'm gonna get back to it. Okay, another thing I just realized when I was in my closet that I have to deal with is jewelry. So I have a ton of jewelry in there that I need to sort through. It's all costume jewelry, and I've had so much trouble getting rid of some of this stuff for some reason. A lot of it since I was in college when I was able to accessorize, when I would go out all the time. But now I have 3 kids and I really feel like I'm holding on to some of this stuff as like a memory. So I'm gonna work really hard to let it go. And I'm just sharing this with you guys because I want you to know that I realize how hard this process can be. And I know it sounds silly, we're talking about costume jewelry from college, but it's just a piece of me, like a memory of a person that I was, that I'm not anymore. So I will say that I've done this before on a smaller scale, and I know that once I've let something go, completely forget about it and it's gone and I feel better. So just know if you're having to ask yourself hard questions or let go of something that you feel like has a memory attached to it, just know the memory actually lives within you and not in that piece of jewelry or clothing or whatever it is. So I hope that can help you in this process because it definitely helps me. Okay, continuing on. All right, almost done here. I've got just a little bit left to put away. I was just trying on clothes and that's why I'm in a different shirt. Same day, different shirt. Thought of something else that I forgot to mention. I'm doing all of this while my daughter naps. And I thought it was important to mention that so that those of you that are parents and you have little ones at home, that you know that you can do this too. She naps for like an hour and a half. So in planning this process, I am cognizant of how much I get myself into. So I'm not ripping everything out of every closet and every drawer. That's why I was telling you I'm being really strategic. And first I started with that big bin of summer clothes I had and started switching. And then once I had all that out, I'm going to start to put it away. I didn't just like rip everything out of the drawers and everything out of the closets because I know that if I did it that way, I might not be able to put it back together. However, it's been about 45 minutes and I took a little break for lunch. I might actually finish the majority of this before she wakes up. So if you have little ones at home and they nap, maybe just set aside 30 minutes a day for a week and see how that goes. I just want you to know that it doesn't have to be all at once. You can do this in little pieces. I'm trying to do it as one big chunk, but again, 30 minutes a day, set a timer. If you have other stuff to do, I know we have dishes, we have laundry. This can't consume an entire day, especially when you have kids. So set a timer, and as soon as the timer goes off, clean up whatever you've done and move on to the next thing. And then the next day, make sure you set aside another 30 minutes. And after about a week, I'm sure everything will just fall into place and you'll be done and it will feel so easy. Okay, I gotta get done. Okay, so let's go over some of the tips that I went through when I was going through this process. The first tip that I gave you was one that I created on the spot while I was doing this, which is take photos of some of the things that you are having a hard time parting with. And I mean this for specific things that might have made it through this process before. So for instance, I showed you those 2 shirts that I posted on my Instagram stories and then created a highlight for, so they will live there now if I ever miss them. Like I said, I don't. But either way, if you have a shirt or a piece of jewelry or something that over the years you have, everybody goes through their closets at some point and gets rid of things. If every time you've held that up and you've been like, I should get rid of this, but I can't because it holds some sort of sentimental value, then try taking a photo of it and putting it somewhere like Instagram where it can live, or just on your computer. Someplace where you can have a piece of it forever and ever, and it's not going to take up space in your drawers or your life. So that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is set realistic expectations, especially around time. So I talked to you about how I was doing this process while my daughter napped, and I want the same for you. So set realistic expectations that perhaps you're not going to be able to walk into your master bedroom, pull out all the clothes, put it all back together, and do that in one day's time. You might not be able to do that. If you can, more power to you. But if you cannot, make sure you're setting realistic expectations. And for me, I knew I was going to have to do this little by little, and then also I already knew that this was going to be a first edit for me, that I still want to go through one more time and really pare down so that I'm in a good place with my clothing and my jewelry and all the things in my master bedroom. Tip number 3, take care of yourself. Take breaks, make sure you have water, make sure you have snacks, take a lunch break, whatever you need, because this is draining physically and also emotionally, maybe mentally going through it. So the whole point behind this is to take care of yourself so you don't burn out on it and quit, because that can happen, and it happens probably a lot more than we would expect. You get into it maybe without realistic expectations, without setting a time limit, without having water or snacks. And if you get hungry while you're doing this, or thirsty, and you're either getting dehydrated or you're drained, and then you wander off to the kitchen in the middle, and then you get distracted, and then you start organizing in the kitchen, and then now you've quit. Your bedroom's a mess. You're now in your kitchen making a mess out of that, and then everything's just going to go back into a place, and you're going to wipe your hands free of it and be like, that was too much, I'm done. So make sure that when you go into this process, you set that realistic expectation on time. You have the supplies you need, water, snacks, food, whatever it is, music, and that is going to help you be more successful in this process. Tip number 4 is continually remind yourself why you're doing this. So if you get stuck with a piece of clothing or jewelry or whatever, an accessory, something, if you get stuck there, ask yourself a few questions. Why do I want to hold on to this? Is this something I could take a picture of and then donate? Is there somebody that I feel like could really use this more than me? And then remind yourself why you're doing this. Is this thing that I'm holding on to more important than me feeling less stressed? Is this thing that I'm holding on to more important than me feeling overwhelmed? So if the answer to that is yes, this thing is more important than my stress level, then keep it. But if the answer is no, actually, I'm doing this because I want more freedom in my life, I want to be less overwhelmed, I want to be less stressed, I want my home to feel fresh and renewed, then that's going to help you pare down and get rid of things, as opposed to just looking at it and be like, oh, I still like this, I'm going to keep it. Just remind yourself why you're going through this process, and that's going to help you to get rid of more and purge more. So those are my top tips when you are decluttering, minimizing, organizing your master bedroom. I'm finally done. This for me was a first edit, so I still want to go through my drawers one more time and weed out a few things. I'm going to give it a little space, maybe about 6 weeks before I do that, and really see what I wear, because there were a few things that I thought, well, it is spring, we're heading into summer, maybe I'll wear it. If I don't, I'm going to purge that as well. But for now, I have pared a lot of things down. I have donated, I have thrown out if things were damaged. I'm feeling really, really good about it. My drawers are nice and clean and organized, and also there's a little bit of space in them. So that is one thing I wanted to talk about. I want you to be okay with empty space. So that is, if you have space in your drawer, if you have space in your closet, let that stay there. Try and resist the urge to fill that space. because what that space symbolizes is space in your mind, space in your life, a little bit more freedom for you. So get used to having maybe drawers that are empty, cabinets that look like they're not full, closets that aren't stuffed with clothes. The space that you see in your closets, in your cabinets, and in your drawers is space that is also now within you and your mind and your time, that you don't have to go through and weed out stuff, and also that you don't feel overwhelmed every time you look in those places. Now, in this series, we're going to go through a couple other rooms. Next up on my list is my kids' bedrooms. So come back for that, because that one is going to be really fun. I've got a few tips in there for you on toys, books, clothes, all the things, and then we'll continue on to other areas of our house. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would make me so happy. Subscribe so you can see when I have new videos about organizing, decluttering, simplifying, and all that fun stuff. And of course, if you have questions about this process or you want to let me know how it went for you, comment below. I'm always looking for your feedback. Check me out on some of the other social media platforms: Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. Our website is rootsandharbor.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I will catch you later. Wait, it's when you'll...